Right. Daithi, good morning to you. How you doing?
Morning, Ger.
Time to inject a bit of serious hurling analysis in after that. How are you getting on?
All good, thanks. Yeah.
What do
don't agree with your forecast the weekend, by the way. City by 2.
Yeah. I know you're a Spurs fan. Look, City are too good. What can we do? All the money is finally paying off.
I think Spurs are real contenders this year. What a squad. Real contenders with a top-class manager. I think Spurs are genuine contenders this year. Big time.
Well, look, this is the perfect test for them. This is the opportunity for them to actually prove that they are. Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Totally.
I said I'm kind of trying to... The last time that these two teams played in an All-Ireland final is overshadowing most of my thinking when it comes to this game, because it was so one-sided. It was such a dominant performance. It felt like that was the end of an era for this Kilkenny team, and here we come. They're back in another All-Ireland final after a brilliant semi-final performance and an excellent quarter-final performance. Now, what's the truth? Is this Tipperary walking into an ambush the way Limerick did, or is this Tipperary ready to go and say that last time that was the truth?
I don't think Tipperary would consider an ambush if it's a thing Kilkenny, come at them the way we expect them to do it, because the evidence is there. I think the point you make in relation to the last All-Ireland in 2016, to me, it probably signalled a period of hibernation for Kilkenny. It was just a case of how long it was going to extend. Not that they were ever going away from being very competitive, but competitive enough to be genuine All-Ireland contenders. I didn't see it this year, I'll be honest. I thought it was going to take another 2 to 3 years, and that was as much to do with Limerick, Tip, Galway, Wexford resurgent, etc. Because you can't take Kilkenny in isolation and say, are they or are they not contenders? You've got to factor everybody else in where they are in their growth and ascendancy or non-ascendancy. So I didn't think Kilkenny would win the All-Ireland. But on any given day, of course, they can beat anybody. But to win an All-Ireland, you usually win most of your games. So were Kilkenny capable of winning practically every game, maybe bar one, and win the All-Ireland? No, I didn't see that. But I don't consider it that Tipperary will consider an ambush, because now that they're here, and if you look at the evidence of the All-Ireland 2 years prior to that, in 2014, and I watched the whole rerun of it again the other night, I mean, that would cause enough worry for Tipperary to say there's nothing between these sides. And Wexford asked enough questions to concern me about the Tip half forwards when they've got a driving half back line, driving forward. They asked questions at Tip that I don't believe Tip have ever been asked before, as top class half forwards, been driven back by overlapping defenders. And they didn't want to travel 40 or 50 yards back down the field. What will work for Tip is, I don't see Kilkenny's halfbacks actually doing that. But I think Cody will have gone to town on the analysis of Wexford to say, is there anything we can pull out of this? And if anyone can do it, I think Kilkenny probably can.
Okay, so are you leaning at this stage slightly in favour of Kilkenny?
Well, I wasn't after the game and I wasn't before the game, but I absolutely am now, yeah. I think Kilkenny will win.
Right. On the basis of the Wexford's analysis and the weaknesses in that Tip team?
On the basis that Tip are free-flowing, and if you go back to the 2014 All-Ireland, similarly 2016, when Tip have space up front, and in particular I thought Kilkenny were very naive in 2016. Callanan was very much isolated, and his speed, I mean, even in 2014, JJ was struggling with the speed when he came on to breaking ball, his speed and accuracy, but Tip are always trying to create space. Kilkenny will not allow that happen. This will be congested in the Kilkenny half-back line. Traditionally, Kilkenny tend to go man for man, and wherever your man goes, you follow him. And Tip tend to know that, and they'll suck their half-forwards out. Now, what you have is the likes of Noel McGrath and Bubbles, a half a chance, and they'll put it over the bar from 70, 80, 90 metres, never mind 40 or 50, looking at all times to isolate Callanan inside. Kilkenny won't acquiesce to that this year. Kilkenny will keep their structure, and Kilkenny have learned strategically since 2014, particularly since 2016, this whole idea of bringing your half forward line back towards midfield and leaving kind of at the apex of that. Your two wing forwards back, and if it's Reid centre forward, leaving him centre forward. So you kind of got an arrowhead and your two midfielders operating very defensively. And that's given a shutter to your half back line and allowing them to sit 40 yards from their own goals and keeping their full back line intact. And they will be very disciplined and they will do it. Because if they don't, they're dancing to Tip's tune. I think Kilkenny will be very structured, The concern that I have is, are they good enough up front to mine enough scores from play? Because from an accuracy point of view, snapping the ball and putting over the bar, I think Tip have the edge. So the critical aspect is doing what Wexford did. And Wexford showed me enough faith to say, the likes of McCormick and Bubbles and these fellas, they can be broken, Ger, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's very interesting. So if you're saying that, I think it's been said as well over the last couple of days about that Kilkenny structure. Tipperary obviously see this coming as well. They know what the structure is going to be. And that's a big advantage, Daithi, knowing exactly how your opposition is going to set up. Surely, given the talent in the Tipperary armoury, there's a way of using this information to out-tactic Brian Cody.
Well, it's one thing knowing what somebody is going to do. You know, plenty of fellas marked Tommy Walsh over the years and they knew what he was going to do or thought. So managers went with a small player to take him on speed. Managers went with 6'4" guys because under puckouts we'll destroy him. It's one thing knowing how good a guy is. And it was only the individual when he went on to Tommy Walsh, and I'm singling him out because he must have been a nightmare. You go on him then and he's destroying you because of his ability to take big, small, indifferent opposition and destroy them. So it's one thing knowing it. Now, the key for Tip here is space. Always space. Getting ball into space and movement, an awful lot of movement. Tiredness will be a factor. Can win this, and it won't be won from a long way out. Where Tip will be from about 10 minutes to go, where Kilkenny's tiredness, and you'll start to see Tip forwards coming on to breaking balls more than they were over the previous 50 minutes because they won't have room to breathe prior to that. We spoke about it on this programme 3 mornings before Kilkenny played Limerick, and we said Kilkenny were going to come back at Limerick with the most awesome power from the minute the ball is thrown in, and they'll probably sustain it for the whole 70 minutes. We spent so much time talking about what Kilkenny were going to do to Limerick, and the same thing is going to happen the weekend, and it did take Limerick by surprise. So you see, you can say Tip aren't going to be surprised, but it depends on the ferocity it comes with. You can expect it. Your manager says to you, you know, you're going to be hit with everything, they'll be on top of you, etc. But when you're out there and Liam Sheedy's on the line and there's 70 or 80,000 people looking, and you're there on your own, and you come up against this manic intensity, and if it's sustained for 70 minutes, all the preparation in the world won't do it. You've got to be your own man and win your own battle. And that's where it's fascinating between both of them, because Tip are no shrinking violets. They'll man up. So it's like the Limerick game, the first 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be extraordinary, like Wexford Tip was in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Only they carried it on for a lot longer because, you know, the fitness levels and the will, just the will and the desire of these lads to go the whole way to the last bell was just extraordinary. I expect the same the weekend.
That's what I meant by the ambush. Like, you know it's coming. I mean, obviously, it's fairly straightforward. It is telegraphed. It will be exactly that. I guess it's that the physicality of, and this seems a little bit weird considering how strong and seasoned the Tip team are, but that the physicality tips the scales in Kilkenny's direction.
That's interesting, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, you see, Tip are beautiful hurlers and are really good. And I think Limerick's ferocity in the Munster final, I think it wasn't just Wexford's ferocity. I think it was Wexford's game plan. That's what this came out of Tip. I watched it very, very closely. You had overlapping half-backs. You had, you know, full-back, cornerback, willing to travel 60, 70, 80 yards up the field without anyone tracking. And you had a really famous cameo from that game where Wexford came through in numbers and eventually took a point. And Brian Hogan was in goals, and Paddy Maher. And the minute the ball was put over the bar, the two of them ran out 3 or 4 yards screaming at, and they didn't really know who, just their own players, like beseeching them, what in God's name is going on here? They're coming through in droves at us. Yeah. Where are you all? And that's what happened. And I think that, now, Kilkenny probably won't do that, you see. And I think that's a good thing for Tipperary. So what Kilkenny will do, Kilkenny aren't just based on work rate. I mean, the fundamentals and the principles are the same with Brian Cody as they were. Yes, strategy is more of a part in it, but the basic core fundamentals have never changed in his eyes in relation to honesty, integrity, work rate, skill level, you know, loyalty to your teammate, loyalty to your jersey. Those core principles have never changed in 20 years. And it just happens in those 20 years that he's had some great sides and some exceptional sides. And it's what they can then mine on a scoreboard. And that's why they've won the titles to have.
All right. So it's a slight leaning for Kilkenny or a strong leaning for Kilkenny at this stage?
It's a slight leaning for Kilkenny,
Yeah.
but it's a leaning for Kilkenny.